Good morning, good evening, whichever part of the world you're in. My name is Srijana, and I am the AJV specialist based out of Toronto in Canada. If you've been on this Thursday morning journey with me for a while, welcome. Really nice to have you guys back here again. I hope there are no interruptions. So I'm going to start off with Canadian updates, right? Everything that's been going on here. And we're also going to look at a few of the questions. Anything pertinent, guys, please recognize that this is a Canada-specific session and not a New Zealand one. So put your questions in the comment section, and I will try and regularly punctuate my session with taking some of the popular questions. Okay, it should be fun. Guys, on other platforms as well, Moise, hi. If you guys have any questions or anything that is pertinent to Canada, please put it in the comment section. Okay, so guys, there have been a whole bunch of announcements with regard to Canada, and it's been quite a heavy week in terms of announcements. I've jotted down some of the few ones. You guys must have heard that there was an announcement from Minister Marco Mendicino, and he basically announced that 90,000 additional residents would be given a pathway for residents, or that there will be 90,000 permanent residents absorbed into the Canadian system, and that is in addition to the normal PR forecast that they have. Okay, now I got a lot of questions on these 90,000 and what are these about? Guys, unfortunately, this announcement is for anybody in Canada. There are 3 streams that he's basically spoken about. And the division, the 90,000 division is such, there are going to be 20,000 PR spaces, or what can I say, vacancies given to temp workers in healthcare. There's 30,000 for temp workers in selected essential occupations, and 40,000 for international students who have graduated from a Canadian DLI. So unfortunately, this announcement, it doesn't really affect people outside of Canada. And if you're in India watching this, or if you're in any other part of the world, it doesn't necessarily facilitate your long-term residence in Canada. I've, nonetheless, had a whole lot of curious questions from people, but, unfortunately, this is for temp to residence pathway for anybody who's here. The only, the difference, I guess, is that, for international students who passed out of a DLI over here, a lot of the, work experience that they acquired while on a study permit, right? That does not really count for express entry, or it doesn't really count for even CEC will count in this particular in these particular cases. So that's a very good thing for somebody who's studied here and has acquired at least 1 year of work experience, 1560 hours, which is 1 year of work experience, working part-time as a student, because students are allowed to work 20 hours a week. So if anybody is a student here, has acquired the 1560 hours working part-time as a student, then that work experience will actually qualify them for residence. And this is applause, because so far any work acquired while you were a student or while you were authorized to work only as a student, it doesn't count for express entry. It really doesn't count for CEC. So right now it's counting here. So, and also the 90,000 announcement that was made, guys, this is a temporary arrangement. This is discretionary power that the minister has taken to make room for such a policy. It is a public policy, and it is valid only for a finite amount of time. So it is valid until the 5th of November 2021. So they start, IRCC will start accepting applications under these categories from May, and then this particular arrangement that they have made, which is completely temporary and it's only for a while, to fill in some of the immigration void, and also, as a mark of recognition for all of these essential workers who actually did put their lives on the line to serve us, and were at the very forefront at a very, very difficult time. So this is the government's way of recognizing that effort and to say, perhaps thank you, and to facilitate their long-term stay in Canada. So this is only a temporary, policy arrangement, and except for French-speaking, francophone applicants, there's no end date or there's no cap to the number of applicants. For the rest, which is essential workers in healthcare, essential workers in some select essential jobs. The government has issued a long annex of jobs, and also for international students who have acquired at least 1 year of work experience. This is, it'll be active only until the quota is filled up, which is 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, or until 5th of November 2021, whichever comes sooner. Okay, so these are not indefinite programs. Okay, so the other news or the other update, as far as Canada is concerned, was after all of these announcements, there was also a CEC draw that happened. Okay. Okay. Guys, just a second. I am not able to view comments. Okay. When is, Mehek, your question around when is FSW going to take place? Of course, there's no, nobody can really predict, because as we all know, guys, if you guys have been following me for a while, the last all program FSW happened, was it right before Christmas, right? It happened on the 23rd of December 2020. That was the last time an FSW draw happened. And the draw score, the least CRS score was, of course, 468. That was when 5,000 invitations were given out. Now, since then, there has not been an FSW draw. 2021, of course, has seen none. And it doesn't look like there'll be one very soon, because Canada is right now facilitating residence and long-term stay for people who are already here. And also, given just the situation around the world, unfortunately, India seems to have fallen into complete chaos as far as COVID is concerned. And so there is a lot of skepticism around bringing other people in, from countries, especially that are in the very midst of a COVID battle. And India, unfortunately, I mean, I was looking at all of the Canadian news channels, and they're all covering the state of chaos in India. With the new variant, and all of that. So there is going to be a fair amount of skepticism, as far as bringing anybody else from other countries is concerned. There's been significant news coverage on India particularly, and so the only other way of meeting some of these immigration forecast numbers is to continue to facilitate the stay of people who are here. So if you're a student, and therefore I think a lot of the crowd has gravitated towards studying in Canada, and I would completely recommend that as a worthwhile exercise, because once you're here on a student permit, and once you start studying and working, it looks like so many pathways that have never opened up before, but people are now opening up. So I would completely recommend that as a worthwhile endeavor if you do want to enter Canada and then work on your long-term stay, which seems to be the more viable strategy given what IRCC is doing. Okay, the last draw happened, guys, on the 16th of April, so just a few days back. That was again a CEC draw. So there you go. It kind of I guess confirms what I've been saying. The draw that happened on The express entry draw that happened on the 16th of April 2021 was a CEC draw, and the lowest CRS was 417. So guys, this is the CEC CRS continues to drop, and so therefore, I guess if you can come as a student, if you can acquire 1 year of work experience and then apply via CEC, I don't see why that shouldn't work with a score as low as 417. This score is expected to go even lower. Before that, on the 14th of April, there was a small PNP draw. 14th of April saw 260 invitations. This was a PNP round. The least CRS score was 753. The last one that happened on the 16th of April, the 417 CEC draw saw 6,000 invitations. So even with PNP, they are being very selective, and the profiles that they pick up are few and far between. But they've always been, and not always been, but I guess that's the what's happened in the recent past, and that trend continues. They continue to be extremely generous with their CEC invitations, and that trend, unfortunately, is likely to continue. I do not see the FSW pool opening up for all countries and an all program draw. Unfortunately, if you're already in the express entry pool and waiting, you might want to look at other pathways. The other draws that happened in the PNP space, guys, some of you, Manitoba is opening up a little bit. So, if any of you are interested in PNP programs, definitely have a look at Manitoba. Manitoba has an express entry program, but you also need to be in the federal express entry pool for Manitoba to give you an invitation. Manitoba has two there are two pathways. One is if you're already in Manitoba, you're studying, you have some sort of tie to the province. And the other one is if you are, an applicant via their something known as a strategic recruitment drive, which means you've received a job offer from one of their employers. And these job offers are LMI exempt. So you might want to have a look at the Manitoba website to check if there's any sort of semblance with the knock codes that you have. Okay, so that was one. The other PNP draw that happened was the BC Tech Pilot Program. There was also a draw there. If you guys are familiar with the BC Tech Pilot Program already, you will know that BC has been almost taking up select occupations in the tech field. If you just Google BC Tech Pilot Project, you will be able to see all of the knock codes. It's not just when I say Tech Pilot Program, it sounds like all of these are completely technical jobs, but you will be surprised to see that there are some jobs in the arts as well. I definitely saw editor, I saw writer, a publicist, etc. So have a look at the BC Tech Pilot Program, and if you see any familiarity with job codes, it might be a worthwhile endeavor to apply via that program. BC is an extremely wonderful province, very, very popular amongst people who are here already. It's expensive but beautiful, and if you do get a job and if your PNP works that way, it's perfect. Okay, so definitely have a look at the BC Pilot Program. Guys, just a second. Let me work on my lighting a little bit. Okay. Laura, there is no age limit. The government of Canada has not set, specific age limits for work permits. But right now, please realize it's very, very difficult to get a work permit from Canada sitting in any other country because, why would Canada bring in a foreign worker when there are so many people over here, looking for viable jobs, people who are here already. And so that's why it's kind of almost unlikely, preposterous almost to think that you're going to get a job offer sitting in any other country. So while there is no age limit, or while there's no upper cap, and Canada doesn't say, oh, if you're above 30 or 40 or 50, you're not going to get a job offer. If any agent anywhere in the world promises you a job offer from Canada, please take that with a pinch of salt. Be skeptical about it. and make sure that you vet this, right? I mean, employers have to go through a very, very difficult LMI process to give any foreign worker any sort of job offer. So there has to be an LMI approval that is accompanied with every job offer. So please be discerning about these things. I know a lot of agents who promise a lot of money, promise a job in Canada in exchange for a lot of money, and some people are naive, so they do it. But take all of these with a pinch of salt. Himu, we do not have a Bangladesh office, but it doesn't really matter because you can reach out to us, and no matter where you are, we can look at what pathway will suit you best. Express entry is always what I look at first. If you have enough scores, express entry, as the name suggests, is the most express way of coming to Canada. But otherwise, depending on your profile, your knock codes, just the overall profile parameters, we can determine what pathway is best for you. I also would encourage anybody who does have the will and the inclination to study, to look at study options in Canada, because it is a really vetted, the study to decide pathway in Canada is one that is working very, very well for a lot of young people and even for people with families. So you might want to consider the study to decide pathway as well. Uh, Guys, it's as far as sort of IELTS is concerned, you will, if you are planning to study in Canada, I would recommend an academic IELTS. If you are, of course, applying via express entry, I would recommend, not my recommendation, but you will need the general IELTS scorecard for express entry. And for any academic pursuit, a lot of institutions do not kind of expressly ask for any sort of IELTS score, but because there are so many applicants applying to all of these DLIs and universities and institutes, it's always good to differentiate yourself positively by way of a really good IELTS score. So if you are planning to study, I know a lot of people who had solid plans of studying in New Zealand, and they have now changed course a little bit, and now they're looking at Canada as a possible study destination. I would recommend that you give your academic IELTS, because they do not accept PTE scores and stuff like that here. Okay, and I know of universities over here that have been very, very inclined to give somebody an offer letter really quick, and that was by virtue of a really good academic IELTS score. So I would recommend anybody who is looking to study in Canada, there are a few ways of bolstering your profile. One is a really good academic IELTS score. I would also recommend seeking help, and you can work with us for sure, because we have people trained in doing so. But writing a really good submission letter or a cover letter, which basically summarizes your entire story and what you've done, and how this course in Canada ties into everything that you've done so far and is going to sort of propel your career forward. We need a really good submission slash cover letter. And so you can seek our help to do that. In terms of documentation too, India has a specific country checklist. And so all of the documents have to be there, the forms have to be perfect. And so it's always good working with a professional in order to take advantage of their expertise and make sure you don't really miss anything as far as the submission is concerned. If you are working with any other professionals in any other countries, India, Nepal, etc., please make sure that they are I don't know that there's a license for practicing, because they're actually ideally not allowed to give immigration advice without a license, and that they are submitting your profile, or that you're submitting your case using a legal portal, and that you're also submitting what is known as a user representative form. So if you're working with consultants, if you're working with agencies, they're ideally, the right way of doing this is to use their portal for submission of application, and to also submit what is known as a user representative form. A lot of people, a lot of agencies in India and South Asia in general, they're trying to subvert the rule and not using a license, operating a student account, all of that can have serious consequences. So when you're choosing an agency, when you're choosing a professional, make sure that they A, have the right to represent you, and B, that they are doing so with IRCC, because if you have to write to IRCC, if there's a follow-up, etc., then you really don't have the advantage if this is not a licensed professional, because they can't really reveal themselves to IRCC. You know what I mean? Okay. Okay, so Kumar, yeah, I mean, you can look at the SINP, Saskatchewan Immigration Nomination Program. It's the same. Most provinces are looking at two ways of getting, facilitating residence for people, and one is, if you're already there, if you have ties to the provinces, and the second, of course, is if you are a professional and if you do have, the required scores, right? So. Again, this is employer facilitated. Try and look for approved employers in the province that are offering jobs, and they should have the knockouts on their website. Um, Aditya, that is I get that question a lot. I have already done one master's in India, or in another country, and can I do another one in Canada? While there is no, while there's no government rule, that says you can and you cannot, I know of a lot of people who've done, a very high level course in their country of origin, and now they're looking to do another one in Canada. Uh, if you do plan to do another one in Canada, I would make sure that A, it is from a really good institute or a university, B, you have a really good IELTS score, and C, that the new one that you've chosen ties in nicely with all of your professional work experience, perhaps, or what you've been immediately doing before applying for another master's course in Canada. Because such applications, Canada does not interview a whole lot of applicants. Canada has largely three buckets. Okay, there's a direct approval bucket, there's a direct decline bucket, and then there is a bucket where I need more information, therefore I'm going to call. Now, all of the interviews were largely face to face before COVID, but now I guess they are doing telephonic interviews, but that's not their preference at all. They want to arrive at a decision with the information that they have. But in a lot of cases where it's a mature returning student, someone who studied already, worked for a while and now going back to academics, these are cases where they interview. So if and when the interview does happen, you have to have a solid reasoning for why you want to do the course. I don't think it's impossible. I know of a lot of people who've done a master's and now have, I worked, in fact, with clients like this who got the offer, and, we've now put in the visa application as well. And we are upbeat about it because A, the client knows why that course is necessary and why it will bolster their profile in general. And if and when the interview does happen, I trust that that client will be able to make a strong case. So there are a few additional hoops that you might have to jump through, but of course, it's not a complete no. Choose the course wisely is what I'd say. That also brings me, guys, to the 5 top fields that are popular in Canada. I mean, this is, it shouldn't come as a surprise. These are all the, generic fields that, are otherwise popular in all countries as well. The largest uptake, of course, is for business courses. Then the second one was engineering, IT and engineering. I guess these are sort of separate fields, but IT courses very, very popular. Engineering very, very popular. Healthcare now, there is a bigger uptake than ever, and also, when I say healthcare, things like nursing, chiropractor, all of these areas are gaining more popularity, and also because there is now an expedited pathway for settlement for healthcare workers, there's definitely more interest and more buzz around these courses. There's also advertising and media that's popular here. and all of the even other sort of fields that might not be as popular in India. Things like media, journalism. There is a fair uptake here, especially in the Indian diaspora or the Indian community. So courses, as far as expense is concerned, it will largely depend A on the province and B on the institute slash university slash DLI. But roughly, if someone just asked me to, in one line summarize how expensive, then the courses will be about 25,000 to 30,000 Canadian dollars for a good level course, and plus you'll also have to pay your living expenses, which is 10,000 Canadian dollars a year. That's what it's calculated at. Okay. Okay. Pranav, yes. The average fee for 1 year postgraduate would be around 25,000, 20 to 25,000 Canadian dollars. If you already have an AJV representative or a counselor that you're working with, please, you can write to her and tell her that, you are now looking at Canada because, of course, we know that New Zealand borders continue to stay closed. So if you want to now divert your, energy and attention to Canada, of course, we can do that shift for you. But that is roughly what the cost should be. Yeah, Aditya, 7 is hopefully you're talking about an academic IELTS scorecard. 7 is reasonable. We can definitely do some institute mapping and check what institute is likely to give you an offer. Okay, now semester starting months. Pranav, good question around course start dates or timelines. The most popular intake in Canada is the fall is the fall intake, okay, which is starting in September. And the other, if you don't get fall, you will get a deferral to a winter intake, which is starting in February. So there are two very, very popular intake months, fall intake starting September, and there's also the winter intake starting February. So you should definitely target if you are ready and if you have all of your funds in order. If you are ready to move countries, then you should definitely target the fall intake of 2021, because Canada is still accepting, processing, deciding applications, and you can still enter Canada with an approved visa. Now, this was before the whole pandemonium in India with the second COVID wave. Okay, so while they're still allowing students to come in, you might want to take advantage of it. But otherwise, if the institute is unable to give you an offer letter for fall of this year, they might defer it to February of next year, okay, which will be the winter intake. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Aditya, MSc in renewable energy. Renewable energy is a very, there is a lot of conversation around this. I guess there's always been a buzz in Canada around renewable energy. Of course, all countries are interested in alternative energy, renewable energy, wind, etc. And so there are some provinces that are more popular than others for renewable energy. But of course, it is a subject that is extremely popular. There will be, jobs, interesting jobs that will open up, after this particular course. And I have not an iota of doubt that it will be worth, the energy and the effort, because of course, renewable energy has always been one of those popular fields, and it will continue to, as we continue to exhaust our more conventional sources of energy. Alberta was a big, crude oil centric province. And a lot of that has dried up as well. And for sure, Canada is looking at renewable energy sources. So that's a good choice. Pranav, you're welcome. Pranav, I would recommend an academic IELTS, okay, if you don't have one. Victoria, hi, welcome to the session. Victoria, hi, welcome to the session. If you are a teacher in India, it's hard to get a job as a teacher in Canada directly. Getting a job is very, very difficult. B, teaching is a licensed, registered profession here. So even if you were in Canada, you would have to go through, there's a significant run up to becoming a teacher here. So you might have to go back to class, get your license to practice, etc. So, or registration. So it's not sitting in India, it's going to be really, really hard for you to get a teaching job in Canada. So you might want to look at ways of coming here first. So look at express entry, look at PNP, look at possibility to study, all of that. And once you are here, then you can look at what is required. I know of a lot of teachers in India who came here, via express entry or PNP, and then they had to go to school and do, at least 2 or 3 modules, and then they had to go through the registration process, all of that. So teaching is not something that you can very easily get to or can start even once you're here. But because you're in India right now, you have to look at getting to Canada first before you look at your profession-specific requirements. Okay, so Shubhi, with regard to Shubhi Agarwal, hi, welcome to the live session. With regard to the spouse visa for student, this is a good question. So if you are a student in Canada, and if you are a full-time student who is with the DLI in Canada, then please note that your spouse automatically qualifies for an open work permit, right? So the spouse will qualify for an open work permit. Open work permit means it's not education bound, or it's not it's not location bound. So your spouse can pretty much work anywhere. But the only requirement is that you have proper relationship documents, that it is it is not just a mere relationship of convenience, that you have all of the documents, and then you are pretty much ready to lodge a spouse application. All professionals, whether it's in Canada or India, I guess we would recommend not applying together. That the spouse and dependent children, if any, should not apply initially with the student. We recommend getting the study permit in hand before you apply for the spouse and the dependents, because in a lot of cases, and we've had ample examples of this, where the entire family applies together, it is really difficult to prove ties to the home country in case something does not work out in Canada. So you don't want to jeopardize your study permit application by adding in the spouse and the dependents at an early stage. Please only apply for the spouse and apply for dependents once you get your study permit. That's what we recommend, and that's, I guess, the popular methodology. Okay. Yeah, so in terms of jobs, guys, and what is the job situation like, etc. It's the popular fields that have conventionally only always been so continue to be really popular even now. So IT, especially if you're coming to a city like Toronto in Ontario, or you go to the bigger cities, Ottawa, you go to Vancouver in BC, there's a significant uptake for IT jobs. They're saying Toronto is, I don't know, the Silicon Valley of Canada. I'm not too sure how that comparison works, but there is a significant uptake for IT. Of course, finance continues to be another big area. Now there is a lot of, I guess, interest in, like what I mentioned earlier, right? Renewable energy sources, alternate energy sources. AI is big in Quebec. So the province of Quebec, the French-speaking province of Quebec, is known as the artificial intelligence hub of Canada. So if any of you are interested in the subject, and if any of you are interested in even studying, look at Quebec. There is a popular misconception that you have to know French before you even think about Quebec. That is not true. Quebec, and especially colleges around Montreal, the city that's most popular in Quebec, they are giving out offer letters to students who have no exposure to French. And the good thing is that the French government is actually, or the provincial government in Quebec is actually paying a lot of students slash temporary workers, even people who move there as residents to learn French. So, and there are French classes available everywhere, and so you will be able to pick up the language. So don't let acquaintance levels with French hold you back if you're interested in working in Quebec or studying in Quebec, especially with AI. There are lots of companies in Quebec that I know of that have given off, that are bringing in IT workers from India in particular. So if you have worked in the area of artificial intelligence in particular, guys, Quebec is the province to look at. So definitely do have a look at what jobs are available there. You don't need to have acquaintance with French. Yes, Aditya, AJV has a professional fee that you will have to pay in 2 installments. So we charge once when any student slash client signs an agreement with us, and 2, the second installment right before we lodge the study permit application. Now, please note that with AJV, we are using a licensed professionals portal to lodge your application. Also, we declare upfront that we are the immigration consultants, and so that if IRCC does need to communicate on your profile, on your application, that there is a direct source of communication with me. And so this is the more professional, vetted way of someone's application versus, I don't know, someone in India who may not be a licensed professional at all, may not have their own portal set up, and they're merely using your profile to do things sort of covertly, which I would advise against. But yes, AJV does charge for application filing. If it is if we get an offer letter from one of the institutes that we have an association with, then of course you don't have to pay the first half of the fee. You only pay for the lodgement of the visa. But if we have acquired an offer letter for you from one of the institutes that are outside of our contractual list, then of course you have to pay the first half of the professional fee as well. Okay, so yeah. Which university or province would you recommend for MCOM or CA, and what would be the fee range for it? Please talk about post-study work visa too. Okay, this question is from Louis Gracie. Louis, there are, this is a very common, MCOM or chartered account. For chartered accountant, please go through the chartered accountants, the federal, there's a body, right, that will enlist all of the requirements, etc. Please go through that regulatory body website in Canada for any of your CA queries. MCOM is, of course, a very popular, business, commerce, very popular field. Most provinces and most good universities will have courses. Choose which province first, right? So, if you want to come to Ontario or BC, or even if you want to go to the not so popular provinces, because a lot of people have realized that provincial nominations are easier if nothing works out with, some of the northern provinces like Nova Scotia, Alberta, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland and Labrador. So choose your province and then, choose in that province, choose which institute is best. I would recommend, if your budget does allow for it, to go for a university, because of course universities are the most prestigious. The quality of education is, in terms of hierarchy of institutes, I think universities are right on top. So choose a university in your province that is well ranked. All universities in Canada are, roughly, they occupy the same level as far as qualitatively, what they offer is concerned. And then once you have decided on which one, then you can, either put in your application yourself. If you want to work with a professional like us, we can, we can help you from the very start with the institute mapping, as well as presenting your case to the university, etc., for your offer letter. And then once you get your offer of place, and once you have all of your documents in place, you are ready to apply for a visa. Now, the post-study work visa is very, very closely linked to your study visa. So it mirrors the duration of your study permit. So if you've studied for 12 months, your post-study work permit will be for 12 months. If you studied for 18 months, similarly. Sometimes if you've done a master's degree and it's a 2-year course, then officers have discretionary decision making, and in most cases they give you a 3-year postgraduate work permit. But that is the maximum duration of a postgraduate work permit, 3 years. Okay, a postgraduate work permit, of course, is an open work permit, which means you can work for any employer in Canada, anywhere in Canada. It's not employer bound or not location bound, and then it allows you to acquire valuable work experience in Canada. And once you have acquired a year of work experience, which is it 1560 hours in terms of hours? But yeah, it's 1560 hours or 1 year of work experience. You are ready to apply for residence in Canada under the Canadian Experience class, which is becoming more and more accessible and easier to anybody who studied here. So the CA process, might be a little bit of a long one, because you have to jump through a few hoops to be called a chartered accountant and to get your license, etc. So that is a separate process. Look at the regulatory requirements on the website. But as far as coming and studying MCOM is concerned, there are enough institutes and enough universities. If you just go with one of them, you might be yeah, it'll hold you in good stead, any one of the universities. Sorry, guys, I have a bit of a cold. Yes, Shubhi, AGV does spouse visas too. If you need, have you received your study visa, or where are you at in the process? Because we can, help you with lodgement for you and your spouse. Study permit, study visa. We mean a study permit if you require a temporary visa along with a study permit to travel to Canada. IRCC will issue it at the same time. Okay, but yeah, so Shubhi, if you need help, any further information, you can get in touch with us. But yeah, we do everything from institute mapping for you to applying for your study visa permit and also your spousal application. I mean, these are all different, I guess these are different processes, and they require, yeah, a level of expertise and know-how of all of these categories, so we can help you in the process. All right, so once you get your visa in hand, once it's approved, then you're ready to apply for your spouse. That's the recommended route. Okay, Mohammed, hi. Thank you for that question. Sorry, guys, there's something. I have a cold, so it's bothering me. I have an express entry profile which is active. Can I apply for a student visa? Yes. So, Mohammed, you can. When you have an active express entry profile, you're just in the pool. You're in the pool where all of the applications are landing. So it doesn't really matter. There'll only be questions, or the question of declaring to IRCC. All of that comes in only when you get an invitation to apply. But I guess if you get an invitation to apply, then you're not going to pursue the study pathway anyway. So if you're in the express entry profile, and if you have a reasonable score, but not around the 470 mark or the 468 mark, that's what we're looking at. It makes sense to consider the study pathway, and you can allow your express entry profile to remain active in the pool, and in the meantime, you can go ahead and do all of the necessary work for your study pathway. So it shouldn't really affect your it shouldn't. I mean, there's significant run up to the visa application process anyway, right? Because you'll be working on getting an offer, you'll be putting all of your documents together before you actually even submit your study permit. So By then, if you have received an ITA, well and good, you can abandon the student process. But otherwise, you just go ahead and your profile will expire in 1 year anyway. Express entry profiles are active only for 1 year, and then you can very seamlessly pursue your study pathway. Garima, you cannot apply for work visa. I mean, well, of course you can apply, but you can only apply for a work visa upon receiving a valid job offer from Canada. So it's very, very difficult to get a valid job offer from Canada, sitting in India, sitting in Nepal, etc., because the employers over here have first obligation to offer a job to people who are already here. So unless you have an extreme niche skill, you are not going to get a job offer from Canada, and I guess hence you cannot apply for a work visa. Okay. Yeah, so Shubhi, if you're in touch with one of our AJV counselors, experts already, please tell her that you need help with a spouse visa, and then I have, a strict sort of methodology. I say, these are the documents we need, these are the forms we need. I will assess your, relationship documents. There's also a need to write a really good cover letter, etc. So all of that is quite a bit of a process. So get in touch with one of our AJV specialists, and we will guide you on what to do exactly for the spousal visa. But we help with all categories, so don't worry about that. Okay, so guys, that was a little bit of information on Canada and everything that's happening here. Of course, I know a lot of you are a little bit disheartened with the express entry process and that there's been no all program draw. With all of these new announcements and all of that, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Canada is going to be able to bring a whole lot of people from outside of Canada at the moment. And that's why people who are already here are always ones that are, picked or facilitated, or the pathways made easier for them. So if you can apply as a student and come here and get your process going, that's one recommended route. Otherwise, look at provincial nominations. A lot of you guys have asked about the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project. Guys, this is an employer-based project. So there are employers that are approved in every province that will hand you a job offer if your profile is good enough. And if that's the skill that you're looking for, and then you can apply for residence. Right, they give you a temporary work permit first, and then you can apply for residence eventually. So there's a long list of employers approved in every province. But from what I hear, it's been difficult to get these employment offers or to get even any sort of response from some of these employers, because the AIPP entry barrier was so low that they must have really been inundated with applications. So there hasn't been much traction in the area, but of course, if you're interested, you can have a look at the AIPP program offering as well. Okay, those are 4 northern provinces in Canada, and they have their own immigration program. Mohammed, get in touch with us. Leave your details behind and we can get in touch with you. I will not be able to give you all of the information on this chat because there will be customized handling of your application that will be required. So in terms of documents required, all of that, you can get help from us. So I guess you can get in touch with us, or just on the AJV website, or you can leave your details behind and we can get in touch with you. Business management is a very popular / generic common field, Shubhi. So it really depends on which institute you pass out from, how you interview, soft skills, all of that. But getting a job, when I look at statistics and when I look at everything that's gone on, it looks like there's a 90% absorption rate for anybody who has completed a course from a DLI in Canada. Which means they always end up getting a job. It might take you a while to get to your dream position, dream job, but a Canadian education is going to set you up really well to reach out to employers who otherwise you would never have had access to. because a lot of employers here are very, very specific about either Canadian work experience or a Canadian qualification. So having either one is going to position you well, because a lot of people who come here on PR but have no Canadian experience, no Canadian degree, etc. Some of them don't even receive interview calls for months on end. So it helps to have some sort of a Canadian experience. Santosh, get in touch with us. Leave your contact details behind. Chef, working as a chef, it's one of those areas where some restaurant owners slash employers are willing to go through the LMI process to give you a job. So depending on your area of expertise or cuisine, etc., then it kind of it might be possible. So get in touch with us. There's also another agency that AJB works very closely with here in Canada, and they have been doing a whole lot of work permits and LMIs. So, we could have a look at your profile. Krishna Tiwari, I don't quite get your question. So you're saying the issue would be for to be eligible for masters. Uh, I mean, it really is. The institute is going to look at your academic credentials in the home country and all that you've done. If you have a bachelor's in your home country and you have significant work experience, credible work experience, then it's not very hard to get an offer for a master's program. It also depends on which university and where you're applying. And as I said, excuse me, guys. I'd also recommend an academic IELTS score. Yeah, I mean, a master's program is, it's a little bit harder to get offers for these programs. But if you're going to a university, then you might want to lay out your whole academics in your home country very, very well. And you might want to also provide a significant academic IELTS score. If universities are hard, go to the next rung of institutes, right? And then keep approaching it that way. Also, if a master's offer is hard to come by, also look at a postgraduate course, which is, that's a decent level too. Santosh, leave your details behind. This is something that I will have to specifically on your profile, look at what the possibilities here are. So, I don't want to address it on a public platform. So leave your details and we will get in touch with you. But yeah, I mean, it's only chefs that have managed to get LMIs slightly easily for job offers compared to other professions, because of course cuisines are specific and restaurants are looking for people specializing in specific cuisines. So we might be able to work something out. So Garima, a lot of institutes do not actually expressly ask for IELTS, but it is recommended. So do academic IELTS. You can definitely apply for, I mean, it also largely is dependent on budget, right? Now, if you've done only 10+2, and if you want to do a bachelor's in Canada, please note that most of the bachelor's programs in Canada are 4 years in duration. So you'll also have to have the resources and the money to study and sustain yourself here for 4 years. But if you do have, the resources, the funds, then come here and do a bachelor's. It's highly recommended because, well, you're going to specialize very, very well, and then that's going to open up pathways for you. But if you do not have the kind of resources needed to study here for 4 years, then you might want to come to Canada after your bachelor's degree or after having completed a fair amount of professional work. That sort of a profile is good too. Um, Amazing 21. I mean, that's a difficult sort of a profile. At the moment, I'd say you'd have significant challenges because Canada has the doorway, the entry doorway has narrowed, and it's become a little bit harder now than ever to enter Canada. So at the moment, no, but you could possibly look at a skilled trade program, etc. So yeah, with what you mentioned here, it is a difficult profile for entry into Canada. Okay, so guys, it was fun having this conversation with all of you today. The next live session, of course, I will bring in more updates, more news coming out of Canada. If you're in India or India in particular, please stay safe. I know there's a lot going on and it's a lot to process, but I hope in your own small worlds you are safe and that you continue to stay, I don't know, relatively upbeat and buoyant. There's a lot of difficult, hard news and a lot to process, but I'm wishing all of you well. And please join me next week for another session, and I will bring in more pertinent topical news from Canada, and then we can have a look at everything that's being said. But any of you who are interested, working with AJV, if you need customized help on your profile, if you need us to represent you and represent your case and do a good job of it, then you can get in touch with us, and I will be using my expertise and all of my I guess professional credentials to be representing your case. So it's nothing, we don't do anything covertly or undercover or give you a student ID and operate that. None of that is happening if you work with AJV. So hopefully you will take advantage of that. So thank you very much for all of you guys who joined me this morning. Sorry, I had a bit of a cold, but it's been fun interacting with all of you. Take care, and I will get in touch with you guys next week. Thank you, guys.